A few years ago, our guest today for Touch Basin's Hole came under the spotlight for a musical he wrote, directed and produced titled Comfort Women, a new musical, which was also the first off-Broadway musical by a Korean director. Now he's again charting new territory, making short-form musical videos that last less than a minute to reach a new generation of musical fans. To tell us more about himself and this latest project, I'm delighted to say that musical director Dimo Kim has joined us in the studio today. Mr. Kim, hello and welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Hello.
Thanks for coming today. It's a pleasure to have you with us. Can you first tell our listeners and viewers a little bit more about yourself? I understand that you grew up in South Korea. Mm-hmm. What first led you to the musical scene?
So, when I was 4, I saw the musical Cats in Korea, and usually 4 to 5 years old kiddo dream about dinosaurs, and after I saw the Cats, I dreaming about all the 28 characters from the musical.
Wow.
So I was like fascinated in the musicals, and luckily
4 years old as well.
Yeah, my mom was like musical fan.
Right.
And then luckily Cats DVD was on, and I was fortunate to see Cats more than many times. And then producer Seo Do-yoon, who's like godfather of the musical theater, was simultaneously was in the lobby for the opening nights of the Cats in 2001, and he was like, "Oh, like you're a young kiddo, like how'd you come by yourself?" And I was like, "I saw Cats like more than like 100 times," and he was like, "Oh."
So this was a bit later on, a few years later, when you're 2001, when you're about 10
when
years old.
I was like 11,
right?
And then he was like, "Oh, like." You know musical Cats, and I know this and that, and he was like, oh, just come to see the show anytime you can. And he introduced the house manager that if you see this kiddo, just give him an empty seat. And after that relationship getting bigger and bigger, and somehow in the musical scene.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Starting from 4 years old as well. That's incredible. It seems you pursued it all the way to New York as well, where you continued to study theatre and performing arts. How was it moving to New York and studying there after having that dream from such a young age?
Yeah, like, so all my dream was just making a new musical. And in my dream, I was questioning myself, like, why in Korea we have to make like licensed musical or like musical that contain the Western stories in it, and but in the industry and all this education stuff was focused in the licensed musical at the time. So I was like, what if I go to New York and make a new musical over there, and but musical about like Korean stuff or Asian stuff in there. And what if I bring him back to Korea, and what do they gonna call it? They're gonna call licensed musical or new musical? And I was trying to challenge that. So that was when I was like 19. I was like, oh, I'm gonna go to New York.
So even at that age, you wanted to make your own musical, not just perform, but you wanted to direct and write and produce an original musical.
Right.
That's incredible as well. So that was always your dream, to direct and produce musicals then?
So at the time, and still now, I don't know what directing and producing in particular to distinguish the term of the musical theater, because I think I want to be a creator, like, or torchbearer for the musical theater, and still I'm learning, because directors sometimes have to write something and writer have to produce something. So nowadays, I believe more the job title doesn't contain the actual role for the industry. So.
Right.
Yeah, I want to be a creator.
So you pursued that dream,
Yes.
and you are perhaps best known for the musical we talked about earlier, the 2015 work. It was called Comfort Women, a new musical, a musical about a very difficult topic, victims of Japanese wartime sex slavery.
Right.
There was another production in 2018, gaining much attention both in New York and in Korea. So what was that experience like, putting on this musical that you had created? And also in a previous interview, you also talked about how you wanted to bring this musical in particular back to Korea. Have you made any headway on that?
So, 2015, I didn't expect the reaction in New York City like that, because mostly theater goers in New York City are major audience are Jewish, and somehow the story and the theme of the musical clicked their interest.
Sure.
And then on the website, on the ticket link, it was empty seat. But in the theater, there's a huge line of baby boomer Jewish lining up down to the
Wow.
the whole theater district, and it was sold out every day. And I was like, still, I don't know how to describe that kind of marketing. It was not even the marketing; it was just like mouth to mouth marketing.
Yeah,
word of mouth. And so I thought, it'd be easy to bring the show back to Korea. And I was like, my dream gonna get true because I'm making a new musical in New York City and bring it back to Korea.
Sure,
and,
as you said earlier, yeah.
My theory about, what you gonna call licensed musical, new musical gonna happen. But in end of 2015, the agreement between Korea and Japan of foreign affair happened about the deal.
Okay, yeah.
And then somehow the issue of sexual slavery become right and left issue in Korea, and it become another propaganda. And I got many offers from some producers, but still, every time I look at behind the funding, there's some political movement in there, and I really hope this show getting not used to be as a propaganda, because this is story about the girls who lost their dream, not about the come from and about the political issues. And I'm highly trying to refrain to use this musical being some political propaganda. So I was like, maybe not this time.
Okay.
So still postponing.
So it's still postponing, but it is ultimately a dream for you to have this production in Korea someday.
Yes.
Hopefully when it is perhaps less political, the scene, but we will see then. So you've been busy in the musical scene, both in the US and Korea over the last few years, but of course it's been a difficult time for the industry with the COVID-19 pandemic, shutting down productions around the world for most of the part of 2020 and 2021. Did it affect you as well? How difficult was it for you during this period?
The big engine, which is Broadway, stopped during COVID. And once the big engine stopped, the whole industry going to stop. There's no new musicals, no workshops. And especially I'm portraying Asian American theaters. And it's always a new work because there's no infrastructure on Broadway. So major of my work in New York City was stopped. And there's no guarantee to putting it back, and still Broadway's on, and we're gaining a lot of audiences and industry going well, but still about the new work stuff is very hard season right now, because even though right now we are trying to focusing on the rebuilding, but there is no recreation yet. So so still it was hard.
So is that why we find you in Korea now as well? Perhaps because there's more opportunities here in Korea at the moment.
Because Korea, the theater was never closed. The only city, the theater was never closed. And, and the love for the musical theater, and then especially the online or the new way of like short form, YouTube, Instagram, those kind of mobile platform is way active in any other word. So so was the opportunity.
Sure, that's where we go into this new series of short form musicals for the smartphone era, should we say, called Mosaical. This is a portmanteau of the words mobile and musical, and it was created in collaboration with Kiwe Lab, a company specializing in short form content. Yes. Can you tell us more about this series then?
Yeah, so I was always dreaming about like how I'm gonna shorten this process of making musical theater, because we put like 3 to 6 years of process of making it, and somehow the show may not go on, or somehow show is getting flop, and then like the process is way too long, and then the tempo of the show is 2 hours or 90 minutes, so it's very hard process to making whole show. And I was dreaming about, but even the whole 2-hour show, there's a lot of bits in there. And what if I make molecules about the bit about even one song or one sequence? And then what if we communicate with the audience as the molecules? And then I was trying to make it short, like 30 minutes and 1 minute and 30 seconds. And I was trying to how to bring new audiences for the theater,
Sure.
and especially MJET audiences, they cannot bear more than 1 minute. And I say, how am I going to bring this audience to even the theater? And also in Korea, I was trying to introduce, because in America, audience follow the stories. Here, more about these musical skills and the actors.
Right.
Or it's like star powers. And I was like, there's a joy of following the story or theme in musical theater. But I had to try to prove that even though at daily basis events can be a musical, only like 14th century or any historic events, that's not the only option for the musical theater. Like anything can happen from the musicals. And also the genre of the music, I was trying to prove musical, there's no genre for musical.
Right.
It was pop song on Billboard, like 1920s. So there's no pop song, there's no musical songs. Like any song can be musical numbers. There's no certain genre for musical. So I was trying to merge the genre for that. And while I'm having that questioning and agony, I met Dimo Kim, the president of the Kiwe Lab, and they were also looking to making because they're widely well known for MCN company.
Sure.
And all the short form, they're like leading company in the, probably not just in Korea, like over the world. They were trying to make a new contents, like original stuff. And we have a common goals together. And it's like, oh, why don't we combine this short form musical and also short form originals, Mosaical, and it's getting good reactions from the
That's
audience.
great. I mean, it's really interesting. So on one hand, it's about making musicals more accessible for a new audience, a new generation of people, MZ generation, as they say. But also, at the same time, it's also trying to make musicals more accessible for those who are making musicals as well, because musicals can be so difficult to put on. But through these short form, 30-second, 1 minute musicals, you get to explore different ideas and also teach people about these different sorts of musical genres.
Right.
So just to explain a bit more, the videos are almost like short skits. They're less than a minute long. They play out a scenario such as an office worker who's found out that his crypto savings have crashed, or a woman falling in love with a colleague after a small act of kindness at the lunch table. Each week it's a different story, and they all feature original music. And the videos, they're very highly produced as well. It seems like a lot of work goes into each video.
It's a hell of work right now, because I'm calling the composers on Broadway, like, oh, like we need this. So we get the demo tape that's on Monday, and Tuesday we put the lyrics on it, and Wednesday orchestration, and Thursday they make storyboards, and Kiwe Lab make a video team, and then camera on Saturday, recording, Sunday editing, and Monday is on. So it's a lot of work.
It's even though it's only 30 seconds to a minute, it seems like a lot of work. But you said the response has been great so far.
Yes. It's better than I thought.
Really? Like, what kind of responses have you been getting?
Because I thought only the musical theater fans going to react, but actually, whole my dream about building an infrastructure, bringing a new audience for the musical theater happened, because all the comments and all the view data is not just a musical theater fans. It's just pop fans. It's just natural fans out there. So, and I was saying, oh, it's getting there.
And international, it seems, as well. I saw the comments. It's not just Koreans commenting. It's from all over the world as well.
All over the world, yeah.
Interesting. I understand that musical stars like Michael K. Lee, Brad Little, Chon Na-young, they'll be involved in the project as well. You're also working with composer Andy Ronninson, who is active in Broadway. What was it like to work with them on this project? Did they get what you were trying to do? Did they understand?
Michael and Brad, because they got it quite instantly.
Right.
Because we know, as a theater people, we know we are living in a doom. Like musical theater world.
Right, with a dome, yes.
Yeah, dome, yeah. And we're trying to knock to the outside, and we're like, probably this is the only way to communicate outside. And they're like, oh, I got it. And they just
Well, it
understand very easily, yeah.
It sounds exciting. If for our listeners who want to check it out, the primary platform is on TikTok, I believe. Is that right?
TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, yes.
Yes, and just search for Mosaical. That's Mosaical, or search for Mosaical in Korean as well. Finally, what's next for you? Will this project be taking up most of your time, or are there other irons in the fire?
Still waiting to be Broadway to be back and trying to relaunch the projects I was working for. But still, I'm looking highly. I have a really big expectation on this one because probably I'm gonna extract, and with Kiwe Lab we're gonna extract few great reaction numbers as a concert and as a live shows, and even with the TikTok we're looking for live token show as NFT wise, and probably that's maybe the new way to communicate with the global audiences. So yeah, I have a high expectation about this project right now.
Wow, that sounds exciting. We wish you luck with the Mosaical project. We also look forward to your future projects as well. We've been speaking to musical director Dimo Kim. Thank you once again for coming in today.
Thank you for having me.